Hello and welcome to the world's biggest, wealthiest and most intricate business in the world that everyone is in on, child and human trafficking part 4. And today we're going to be talking about the government. Now, if you don't know what all of this is about, then check out my first video where I talk about Ali Carter, who is a young woman who was a victim of child trafficking. And she has come out and spoken about a lot of how the world's elite, government officials, community officers and so much more are a big part and are the reason why this machine works and how it works underground. We started off talking at the top, talking about why this is, what this all about, why do they want to do this, because she specifically came out and said that she doesn't believe this is even about sex or money, but it's really about power and control. But in order to do that, they have to have every single level of the world working together in order to deliver these children and humans and other human beings, of course, into these institutions to be abused, to be eaten, to be raped, etc. And we're talking about how this is possible. So in the first video, we talked about the why they're doing it. And the second video, we talked about how the people we look up to, the celebrities, the elites, a lot of these big organizations, pharmaceutical organizations, etc., how they're involved, what they get to benefit out of it, and how they also help this. And today we're going to be talking about the government, because one of the things that she said, which was probably the most shocking for a lot of people about this, is going to be who she herself was sold to as a sex slave, as a child to be having things done with. And she specifically called out Joe Biden, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. Now we'll start with Joe Biden, because I did a video about Joe Biden before where I was telling you guys about some diaries that came out from his daughter called Ashley, and Ashley had basically said how she'd had inappropriate sexual showers with her father as a child, and also that she'd been given to other, I believe it's government officials. Okay, not government officials. She claims also to have been molested by older men, and that's a very, very sad story in the first place, because it's sad for anybody to have to go through that. Well, more so, the fact that he would do this stuff with his own daughter is very shocking. And we're going to talk about the family a bit more later. But what I will say is, in that all the research that I've been doing about this type of stuff, a lot of people who are affected by things like molestation and rape and stuff, it comes from the home. We have a tendency to always talk about, oh, stranger danger, this and that, which we're discussing a lot of that today as well. But a lot of these things are happening in the home. A lot of people are experiencing this in the home. A lot of people who are pedophiles to this day, the reason why they do this stuff, they've said it themselves, is because this is what they went through at home. So we really need to address all these levels if we really want to stop this stuff from happening. So she, what was I saying? Ali has accused that, and by the way, I just want to say this as well, that she has also said she's got plenty of evidence, loads of evidence that she's willing to give to somebody who she can trust. Right now, she doesn't trust anybody, and you guys are going to see why, particularly in this video and the next video, where we're going to be talking about the government and like the children's institutions and community institutions, like, schools, CPS, child protective services, of course, social services, etc., the police. You're going to see why those people also have failed her, and how those people are completely involved, completely complicit, and also benefit from this stuff. So the government. So she talked about Joe Biden and being sold to him. And she also talked about the Obamas, about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. And one thing that I want to touch on really quickly about Michelle Obama in particular is the fact that there's this rumor or this theory that goes around that Michelle Obama is in fact a man and that she's transgender, which is very interesting to me. And I want to start off by saying this, that if that is the case, then why wouldn't she want people to understand that? Why wouldn't she just say, especially in this climate where there's been such a huge effort made to give rights and respect to members of the LGBTQIA plus community? Well, I would go ahead and argue that it's because it's a part of the ploy that all of these people are doing. Michelle and Barack had to present themselves, and also there are clips of Barack accidentally calling her Michael. There are clips I've seen where she's seen to be holding what looks like a penis and whatnot, like outside of her dress, and like it's crazy. Like if you look, you can search it for yourself and make your own judgment, okay? But also I want to mention that Ali talked about Michelle Obama being a man. She said that as a very offhanded thing. That's actually what made me search into it, because I was like, Michelle Obama being a man, like what are you talking about? So, and I would say since she had sexual experiences in that area, again, she's probably somebody who could know that for certain, because she's dealt with that area of, unfortunately and horrifically, of these people, right? And so why wouldn't Michelle want people to know that she has a penis? Like, why wouldn't people want people to know she's a man? There are many theories that people have of proving that also that their children are adopted and stuff. But I digress slightly. But I mentioned this stuff just to say that when we're dealing with these people and they love to push forward these things, like for me with the Obamas, I was never a fan of the Obamas. With Joe, I've said this before and I'll say this now, that Joe Biden was a part of a lot of people back in like 20s, 30 years ago who were voting against the rights of black people. Michelle and Barack Obama has been found, I found a very interesting video on YouTube where somebody was highlighting that all the time that Barack was saying, oh, we're killing the extremists, that they were targeting areas that were known to only have civilians, and they were killing civilians, right? We know Joe Biden left all this stuff with the people in Afghanistan, right? All of this stuff I say to you guys. Oh, also the cages on the border that everyone's talking about. People were like, oh, Trump has got people in cages on the border. It's like, Obama was the one who made those cages. Obama was the one who made those cages. And I say all this stuff to say to you guys this, that, you know, people can really get themselves into a place of power. Hillary Clinton, she just came back to my mind as well. Thank you, Lord. Hillary Clinton, her emails were found for her to be talking about all this walnut sauce, you know, the stuff where they mix together, you know, the brains and the blood of children and they drink it and all this stuff. These are government officials. These are government high-level people. So imagine if you're going through this stuff and these people are involved in it. Do you think that even you telling the president, if you met him by chance, right, that, by the way, I've been trafficked and whatever, and the president's looking at you like, oh, perfect. Well, how much do you own? Who's your pimp? Because then I'm going to pimp you out because I'm a part of this as well. You know, this is what people are facing. So even at the governmental level, even up to that level, and I mean, we've already talked about, like, you know, I touched on, in the previous video, like, you know, the FBI. Ali has spoken about how the FBI, there's so many instances where she's gone to police officers and things like that. And there have been full reports written up. Not like things are just getting ignored. Reports are being written, but things are just being hidden and are being ignored because they're all in on this stuff, right? They're all in on it. And this is the point I want to make in this video, that even at the governmental level, these people are involved. And it's so interesting what she said. She said that specifically Donald Trump is the one she has a little bit of hope in. And the reason why she has a little bit of hope is because he's the only one who spoke out about trafficking in any way, shape or form. And he's the only one that she has not seen in these behind closed doors where she's been having all these experiences with all these people. Isn't it interesting how he is the one that people were accusing and trying to expose all this information on, at the exact same time we were hiding all the stuff going on with Hillary Clinton and her emails, and they all just disappeared. At the exact same time we were hiding the Hunter Biden laptops, and obviously a lot of that stuff is coming out. Hillary Clinton's is at the moment is being I believe is on trial, I believe. How many times am I going to say I believe? Because she's being found out to have lied about information, knowingly lied about information that came out about Donald Trump. So you can see how these governmental people are also not to be trusted and are also pushing forth a lot of this stuff that's being said. And this is also what she's spoken about, you know, like I said, that she's seen these people. She knows. So for her, it's like, it's not a question of oh, who should I trust and who should I not? Imagine being in the position where you have literally been abused by that exact individual, and then you're watching them like on the news talking as if they care about the world, talking as if they care about humanity. You know, we see this right now. Even a lot of people in America, people are upset, you know, because of all of this stuff in America where some people are upset with the people who are saying, well, yeah, why we know we need to send money to Ukraine, we need to send 40 billion, and people are getting upset with the people who are saying, well, how about we keep this for the American, not keep it for the American people, but maybe we should put a pause on that because there's a lot going on over here, you know. And I am always from the mentality, like kind of the biblical mentality of like, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? If things are already in tatters in the United States, you just then helping somebody else is just going to leave everybody in tatters. And I'm actually personally of the belief, number one, that the that if not for the weakened state of the American economy and the American country in general, that Russia would probably never have done what they did in Ukraine. But a step further than that, I've said this to you guys before, that there are neo-Nazis in Ukraine who have been allowed special rights to help defend themselves from Russia, even though from what I've seen, it seems like Russia was targeting specifically biolabs And look at where we are right now. Where are we right now? Oh, monkeypox all of a sudden is on the horizon. And it just so happens that the other day, Pfizer has now finished the vaccine that they made for monkeypox. Here's an interesting question about that. If they made a vaccine for that, that means they must have surely had to have dealt with that. So why were they dealing with that in the first place? Why are we dealing with so many of these things? And why is it always the things that we're dealing with are the things that are then coming out? Do you see what I mean? And so all this gain of function research, right? Gain of function research. Basically, a lot of what that means is they're saying, like, it's kind of the same thing that happened with the previous situation that we were in, where they had specifically been researching, and the American taxpayers were paying for it too, right? They were specifically researching how they could make these diseases. They research how they can make these diseases something that we can catch as humans, because a lot of these things, they don't affect us as humans. They make them so that we can, so that they can prepare a vaccine for if it ever happens. But it's like, so why are we, but then in doing that, this is what's leading to us getting these things, because they're doing it. And again, governmental, World Health Organization, in this very week that I'm making this video, midweek into their week where the World Health Organization is meeting to do the pandemic treaty, which you guys should check out the video. It's like in 6 to 12 days, this is what's going to happen. And this is what's happening. We're in that 6 to 12 day period right now where they're meeting and they're discussing what? Domination, power and control, going back to what we talked about in video 1, how this is not even about the children, it's about power and control. What are they voting on? The ability for the World Health Organization and the World Health Assembly to be able to make decisions for the whole world by themselves. Bearing in mind that this World Health Assembly, nobody knows who these people are. Nobody knows who these people are because it's not public information. The only person we do know who is the guy who's the president of the World Health Organization. And I talk about him in that video, so you guys should check that video out. But guess what? He's also not a healthcare professional. He is a researcher. He is not a qualified physician, just like Bill Gates. And yet a lot of these people are being the ones where the government is entrusting money with and entrusting money to create these different things. Why? Because they're all working together. And how are these people doing a lot of these research? How are they getting the cells? How are they making vaccines? Like I told you before, they need the cells of aborted babies and children. That's why another reason, one of the many reasons they're using children. Can you see how this is all linking up together? So even on the governmental level, this stuff is happening, you know? And that's why, again, you're going up the food chain now. We've gone to the top, right? So the invisible people that we can't go directly to. Now we're looking at like the elites, the celebrities. And you might wonder why I put the elites above the government. And I'll tell you why I did in this video. I should have really said it in the last one, but I'll say it in this one. I put the elite, the world elites, be ahead of the government because money runs the world more than the government. I'll tell you this, guys, for free for now. If you ever look into the history of things and even how these families like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and all these people got so powerful, they got powerful because they had more money than the governments. And that's the case with a lot of the rich people in the world. They have more money than the governments, and the governments can't do whatever they need to do without having the money. And so really the people who are in control are the people who own things like the banks and the people who have the most money. And that's even how the people like the Rothschilds, etc. became wealthy. And they were smart enough, a lot of those families as well, to send one of each of their different people to different countries in order to establish their power in those places, right? So that's why even the government is still at the mercy of these people. The government still wants to be on the right side. I talked about this with you guys with the royal family, right? The royal family is another family that I very much suspect to be deeply, heavily involved with this stuff, you know, especially the likes of Prince Charles, Prince Philip, etc., right? And why is that significant? I made a video you guys can check out where I spoke about how the way the government runs the country more than the British monarchy. And the reason for that is because people were listening more to the government, just because the government was swayed by what? The people, right? The power is not usually with who we think the power is with. The power is only with whoever is being respected in that power, or whoever has the most money, or both, right? And so because a lot of people have more money, then that's why other people with more money can control what's going on more than the government can a lot of the time. Or the people who the people who are listening to can also be the ones who have the power, which is why you then have the elites and the celebrities, which is why I put those guys above the government. But you guys get the gist here of what I'm saying, how all of these people factor into all of this stuff. I'm going to just double check if there's any more things I wanted to mention in particular with the not celebrities, with the government. Oh yes, on the subject of Michelle Obama being a man as well, by the way, I heard a theory that that Joan Rivers, I read this on an article online, that Joan Rivers apparently was killed by Michelle Obama because of the joke she made about Michelle being trans. And again, why is this also significant? Because I believe that the Obama couple had to present themselves as perfect. And I talked about this in my previous videos about how the enemy always comes disguised as an angel of light. He had to present himself, they had to present themselves as like the perfect answer to everything. They're a married couple. This is why these people are always married. They're a married couple and they're black and they're, you know, Michelle's cool and she was on iCarly and she shows up here and she shows up there. She's on Ellen and whatever and all this stuff, right? And Barack and whatever, because it's a good, they have to present the image that's going to get us to do what? Use our power and to help them, to enable them to do what they're trying to do, because all they need is to program us. This is what all this stuff is about, power and control. They need to get us, they need to control us enough to give them enough control so that whatever we want doesn't matter anymore because they're already in control. That's what all of this stuff is really about, right? That and so apparently the theory is that Michelle killed Joan Rivers because Joan made a joke about Michelle being trans, being a man, etc., etc. And so I guess they didn't want that to come out, so therefore Joan was killed. And I actually believe that's very possible. I believe that's very possible because a lot of people, just before they are on the brink of exposing something or doing something big, end up dead. We saw that with Nipsey Hussle when he was basically showing that like this whole pharmaceutical industry is a scam. And he was just about to come out, I believe, with a documentary talking about all these other natural herbal remedies and stuff. He ended up dead. Whitney Houston was about to release a gospel album. She ended up dead. You know, we see this happen all the time, that people get taken out just as they were about to do something. And I think there's a lot of people today in Hollywood that are trying to get out, who want to get out. And I pray for those people in the name of Jesus. And I will continue to pray for those people. I wish I could pray for those people in person, you know, because they are they probably want to get out, but they know what they're up against because they've seen what's happened with other people, and this is what they threaten people. One thing Ali spoke about is she spoke about the fact that these people get threatened, that we will follow you forever, we will take you out, you will not live the same life if you try to even speak up on what's going on now. And that's why getting in a deal with the devil is like the worst thing. It's like when, you know, like when in movies where you see people will side with the villain, right? And I'm like, you should never really do that, because the villain will always flip on you. They have no loyalty to you. They don't care about you. You see this like where you have like these big like mafia or these big drug rings or whatever, and you'll have like, they'll have somebody who's lower leveled, or they'll partner up with somebody, right? And they'll be like, can you go and do this for us and we'll pay you 500,000. Then they pay them 500. The person does the thing. They come back. They're like, okay, they pay them 500,000, and they just shoot them then and there, because it's like we can't risk you speaking up on this stuff. And so that's kind of what these people do. This is kind of exactly what these people do. And so yeah, that's the government. I've talked about a couple of people there. I don't want to overdo it, and because the ones I really want to get to is the last two, because these are the ones that Ali focused on, because Ali specifically mentioned that it's not so much the elites that people need to worry about, but it's the people in between. And she kept saying that it's the people in between who we need to worry about, the people that we as normal people see on a day-to-day basis: school teachers, police officers, social workers, she talked about she called them grave diggers, trash men, bin men and women. She said all these people are in on it along the way. So we're going to be talking about that in the upcoming videos, and then we're finally going to speak about, like I said, the church, because I feel like that's a really important, the home and the church, because I think those two are the most important, and those are the areas that we have the most control over as people. So we're going to come to that. Don't forget to check out the first video if this is the first of all you've watch them all the way through, because it's going to make more sense that way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and of course subscribe if you are happy that I'm sharing this content. I really appreciate the support, and share the stuff as well. I don't know why I don't say this stuff enough. Share this stuff. Ali right now is still on the run. She's not safe just yet. She's still having to move around as necessary, because people are trying to take her out. There is no big platform. No one wants to let her speak up about this. I found out about her. I saw an interview from her that actually a friend of mine from church had sent me, that had been circulated on a church platform, on a platform that has nothing to do with anything else, that was built by one of the church platform that I'm on. And this video was circulating, this interview. That's how I found out about the story, and it was being shared by Stu Peters, who is known guy who has his own platforms online. There's a whole bunch of incredible platforms online and websites that are not the normal places to get news where you can get this stuff. But yes, so thank you guys so much for watching. Check it out for part 5, where we're going to be talking about the children's and community institutions and how they are to play, because these are the ones who are actually doing the delivering of the children, believe it or not. Yes, the schools, the police officers, the the social services, these are the ones who are actually doing the delivering, and we're going to talk about exactly how that works in the upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all, and I'll see you in part 5.